Good evening, and thank you for joining us. A Thunder Bay man has been arrested and charged with second-degree murder. It comes after a violent altercation early Sunday morning that left another man dead. The accused, 23-year-old Brady Nugent, turned himself into the police just after midnight and remains in custody after appearing in court this morning. Detective Inspector Jeremy Pearson provided a few more details this afternoon.
The accused and the victim were known to each other. There had been previous interactions, so this is not a random event. This is not an event without some history. That history, of course, is going to be part of the ongoing investigation and court prosecution.
The incident happened near the corner of Camelot and St. Paul Streets just after 2:30 Sunday morning. The victim was 20-year-old Tyler Bluin of Thunder Bay. He was transported to hospital where he later died from his injuries. Pearson confirmed a weapon was involved, but it wasn't a firearm. The major crimes and forensic identification units are both involved in the ongoing investigation.
There's no connection to the drug trade or to any of our guns and gangs active investigations that we're aware of at this time. Of course, as always, the investigation remains ongoing. At this time, we believe we have the sole person responsible in custody, but we request anyone who has information, regardless of how important or unimportant it may seem to them, to contact our investigators.
This is Thunder Bay's third murder of the year. Thunder Bay OPP continue to investigate a fatal single-vehicle collision in Shunya. It happened just after 5 o'clock Sunday morning on Lakeshore Drive near Wild Goose Beach. Shunya Fire and EMS also responded to the collision, which resulted in a fire. The victim was a 34-year-old woman from Thunder Bay. Anyone with information about the crash is asked to contact OPP. Northside businesses are gearing up for another disruptive construction season, but feel the payoff will be worth it. The second phase of the North Core revitalization began today and will work its way up Red River Road this summer. Vasilios Bellos reports.
The equipment's being unloaded for a construction project meant to reimagine Thunder Bay's North Core. The second phase of the North Core revitalization began Monday, closing off the intersection at Red River Road and Cumberland Street. The phased work will make its way up Red River this summer to the Court Street intersection, upgrading century-old infrastructure. The project includes similar work that happened on Court Street last year, with a total price tag of $13 million.
We will be excavating the full right-of-way from storefront to storefront.
Engineering Director Kayla Dixon says the project is massive and that the final product will upgrade the area as a public hub.
Flexible street, so we'll be able to close that street and it'll be fully accessible for events. Lots of planters and greenery, and some public art will also be installed along the way.
The main construction on Red River Road is expected to wrap up this year, with some of the visual enhancements like the planters possibly pushed to 2025.
360 view of the downtown and how it's used, and this is what the public asked for.
Waterfront District BIA Executive Director Kara Pratt says the community and local businesses are still on board with the work. Pratt believes working with the city on the first phase of construction last year will make for an even more successful construction season this time around.
I think there might be a little bit more preparation this year, and businesses are, what to expect is some disruption, but we'll keep pushing to get people down here the best we can.
Pratt says the city will be doing what it can to alleviate stress on local businesses. That includes a phased approach to construction and constant communication with the public to let them know that stores are still open for business. Vasilios Bellos, TBT News.
City Council has approved the next phase of its asset management plan. It comes with a near $32 million infrastructure deficit. Council did discuss possible ways of closing that gap, including adjusting service levels. The full story will be on tomorrow's NewsHour at 6. Lakehead University has been awarded more than $2 million in federal funding for a project that aims to improve access to palliative care. Local MP Marcus Pulowski was at LU this afternoon to make the announcement. Jessica Clement has the details.
The federal government will be funding a local research project aimed to assist underserved populations in receiving palliative care services. Thunder Bay Rainy River MP Marcus Pulowski made the announcement Monday afternoon at the Lakehead University Agora.
This announcement is on behalf of the Honorable Mark Holland, Minister of Health. I'm pleased to announce $2.38 million in funding to Lakehead University.
Lead researcher Dr. Lynn Martin says the project will provide a better understanding of the services received by underserved populations, including those with mental illness, those living in rural and remote areas, and those experiencing homelessness, in order to identify gaps and to overcome the unique barriers they face.
What we're doing is setting up some different advisories with people from these groups and organizations that represent these different groups, and working with them to prioritize the research that is needed, and in particular research that is needed for them to change what they're doing in order to improve access and also the reach.
Aging and Health Research Director Kathy Cordes-Miller says they're excited about receiving the funding and adds that this type of research is important.
It can guide and change practice. I think the timing is really important right now. We've learned a lot through COVID, and I think we've really recognized and seen firsthand some of the gaps in our system. And Dr. Martin's research proposes a way of paying attention to those gaps, but moving it forward and being action-oriented in the research to improve care.
Pulowski says the need for more accessible palliative care is growing, so it's important for the government to fund these types of projects.
I think we haven't done enough in order to ensure that people in those kind of conditions get the kind of services they should have, because you should, especially at the end of your life, have the opportunity to afford whatever benefits that the community can provide you in those last days, to make those last days hopefully good days and be able to enjoy to the extent possible the end part of your life.
Jessica Clement, TBT News.
Several MPPs were kicked out of the Ontario legislature this morning for defying the Speaker's ban on keffiyehs. The NDP has urged the Premier to overturn the ban, but the Speaker continues to enforce it. CTV's Siobhan Morris has the story.
You must leave the chamber.
Sarah Jama was again warned to take off her keffiyeh and then to get out when she didn't. The independent MPP found irony, given what happened just before question period began.
We engaged in a moment of silence around the Holocaust. And while we can spend time to recognize genocides of the past, we struggle as members of this House to recognize genocides of the present.
This time, Jama had company with two NDP MPPs donning keffiyehs in defiance of the ban.
The ban is making this a political article.
Palestinian, Arab, and Muslim people are told you have to check your culture at the door.
The ban, a call made by the Speaker, one he continues to defend as falling in line with blocking political symbols from the House.
This is intended to promote order and decorum, and mostly has had the desired effect through the years.
But in this case, Ted Arnott acknowledges
it has instead fostered division and discord, both in this House and in our communities in the province.
That said, the Speaker is maintaining the ban on the keffiyeh inside the legislative chambers, right beyond these doors. Back out here in the hallway, though, in offices, the keffiyeh is allowed again for politicians, staff, and visitors.
I do think it is a step in the right direction. I'm hopeful that we can overturn the full ban, but we will be looking at all the options,
including leaning on the government.
The Premier says that he is not in favor of the ban, and yet he won't ask his members to do the right thing.
Doug Ford has told his caucus they can vote however they like when the issue is raised.
There's nothing I can do to change the legislature. That's the way the system works. The Speaker runs the legislature, and I have to abide by his rules.
Opposition parties insist the Premier has more power than he's letting on.
Sargent & Son Funeral Home is commemorating its 100th year in business. To celebrate that long local history and commitment to serving families and loved ones during a time of loss, a 100th anniversary campaign has been launched. The family-owned business has operated for 5 generations and is still owned by the original family. Brothers Greg and Michael Sargent note this isn't just a celebration of their business, but also a chance to honor the contributions of local people and the resilience of the community through the decades. They say family means a lot to them, and they're very proud to achieve this milestone.
This is a great accomplishment for not only our business, but our family and team that we work with. It's been something we've been working on for a while, knowing it was coming, but to have it finally here, it's fantastic.
There's no obligation on our part that we have to do this, or it was we wanted to be a part of it. And that's the way it's worked from generation to generation, just seeing the value and the positive impact that our families had in the community, or tried to have. Definitely, it inspires you to want to be a part of something like that.
To mark its 100th anniversary, Sargent & Son is hosting an open house and reception for clients, employees, friends, and local businesses on May 23rd. The business is also launching a digital legacy initiative and is asking residents to share their special stories, memories, and photos from the past 100 years in tribute to everyone who has helped shape Thunder Bay over the past century. And we're now joined by sports anchor Joe Sadowski. And Joe, tonight was game one in the series of the Bruins against the Panthers.
Yeah, and the Bruins, they're looking for any sort of redemption after they blew a 3-1 series lead last year to these very same Panthers. We'll have those highlights and much more coming up after the break.